This LOS is describe monetary and non-monetary benefits and costs associated with holding the underlying asset and explain how they affect the value and price of a forward contract. So continue with some pricing and valuation of forward commitments. So remember, the valuation of a forward is 0 at initiation, and the price of the forward is calculated by the spot price times 1 plus the risk-free rate to the power of t minus the benefits minus the costs, brackets, times the future value times 1 plus r to the t, okay? So that equals the benefits, that symbol, and this equals the costs, okay? So assume that the benefits exceed the costs, then the forward transaction would return less than the spot transaction. You can see that the formula adjusts the forward price downward by the expression minus benefits minus the costs, the future value, times 1 plus r to the t, to reflect this net loss over the spot transaction. In other words, acquiring the asset in the forward market would be cheaper because it forgoes benefits that exceeds the costs, okay? That does not mean the forward strategy is better. It costs less, but also produces less. Alternatively, if the costs exceed the benefits, the forward price would be higher because the forward contract avoids the costs at the expense of the lesser benefits. Okay, we worked through this example in the last LOS, so I won't go through all the math again, but it also relates to this learning outcome because we're talking about the benefits and the costs with regards to the price of a forward contract, okay? So remember, here's the formula for the price of our forward contract, and we're subtracting the benefits minus the costs. So in this example, we only had benefits, we had the dividends, okay? So the future value of those dividends was 3.8197. So we had the spot price of $150, plus we would receive the benefit of 3.81917 of the dividends, but we calculated that the forward value is 151. So we can see that the spot transaction, the value would be 153.81917, and that is greater than the forward contract price of 151.53104, okay? So recall from the previous slide that acquiring the asset in the forward market would be cheaper because you're foregoing the benefits, okay? You're not getting those dividends. So that's why, as I said, this LOS is talking about explaining or describing, but if you go through the math and you understand the math, the explanation is pretty clear. So now we're looking at the value of a forward at time t during the life of the contract, and you recall from the previous learning outcome statement that the value at time t is the spot price at time t minus the present value of the future price, okay? So it's the future price divided by 1 plus r, t minus t. Now, if the asset has a cost of carry, we must make a small adjustment to that formula. So what are we doing? We're putting in that spot price at time t minus the benefits, the future value of the benefits minus the costs at future value of time t, okay? Minus the rest of the formula doesn't change, the present value of the future price, okay? So you can see that we were looking at this formula in the previous LOS because we talked about calculating the future price where there were benefits and costs. Then we talked about the value of the forward at time t, but we didn't give you the formula at time t when there was a cost of carry, okay? So to do that, we need to introduce this part into the equation. Okay, on this slide there's nothing new, but there's just a little bit of nomenclature with regards to the algebra. And for those of you that don't love the algebra, this slide is just there to help you out, okay? If you're good at algebra, then you're shaking your head saying, yeah, you know this. So recall, this is the present value of the forward price, okay? It can also be shown as, it's always this is kind of the way that I always do it, is the future value over 1 plus r to the t, okay? That's my present value formula always. But note that we can also do it, the algebra, that it's the future value times 1 plus r to the negative t minus t, and that's when you're using the negative in the exponent, that's the same as having it in the denominator. Okay, and so that's the equation that they use in the text. So it looks fairly intimidating at first, but it's just the spot price minus the future. Instead of divided by 1 plus r to the t minus t, it's times 1 plus r to the negative t minus t, okay? And then they introduced the future value of the cost to carry, and this is the formula that you see in the textbook for the value of a forward at time t when there is a net cost of carry, okay? So as I said, my preference is to divide I don't like it like that. I like it divided by 1 plus r to the t minus t, okay? But that's the same as putting it to the negative, okay? And so that's what you see in the textbook. So this slide was just a little bit of the nomenclature with regards to the algebra. You can see the present value of the forward price like this, or you can see it like this. Don't get confused for you people that not strong in math. And we're down to the last slide for this LOS. So recall we have the future price equals the spot price times 1 plus r to the t, okay? That's if there's no cost of carry. Now we can rearrange this that the future price over the spot price equals 1 plus r to the t, okay? Now if the forward price is too high, we're going to short the forward, borrow at the risk-free rate, and buy the asset. If the forward price is too low, this gets into the arbitrage, we're going to short the asset, invest at the risk-free rate, and go long on the forward, okay? Now that's the last slide for this LOS. Thank you.